We are live. Here we go. Woohoo!
There we go. Artificial intelligence, get us started. What I do
Artificial.
need to what I do need to work is on something that makes my Cuban my computer generated Cuban music work. It's not quite to my taste yet.
Yeah, who was it? Tit Goblin commented to me on Facebook. One of the comics I got this week, Sensia. It's like that
Mhm.
cover looks a little AI generated. And I'm like,
Uh,
I think it's more that I forget the woman's name. Let me see if I can look. I think I got her in a tab in the other. So I think her art is just easy to. Oh, I don't have it open now. Now I can't remember what her. Oh, why don't I open the comic? Duh. Um, Here, let me see. Oh, there's Wilson. Here's the cover that he's like, that looks a little AI generated. I don't think it was. Asensius the comic. I think it's just and there's the logo by Frank Cho for Essentia.
right.
Nice logo. The
Mm,
artist
no, that
is, where's her name? Carla Cohen.
okay.
Carla with a Cohen. And I looked her up. I think it's just this style of art is easy for AI to imitate.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of like Art Germ is having problems now with everybody accusing him of doing AI art.
hmm
Because his style is kind of easy for AI to imitate. Whenever you have this sort of smooth, really smooth style that's I don't want to say it's formulaic, but there's
Yeah.
kind of a formula, there's a recipe to do it.
You know that Art Germ was one of the first specific artist-driven prompts to show up
Oh yeah.
on a yeah.
Yeah,
Do me
I believe
do art
that.
like Art Germ. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But this was a pretty good comic. This is one that it's being distributed through that new indie distributor whose name I can never remember.
Bilbo.
What was that?
Bilbo, I think it's called.
You know what? Every time you say that, I think you're saying Bilbo. I
Mm.
No,
think we went through this last time.
so the guy's name is Philip.
Oh,
So I think it's
Philbo.
Philbo. Yes.
Okay.
So I think that's
I
the.
think we
I
went
think
through this
that's how it's
last.
supposed. I think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah, Philbo. Yeah, like I remember having this exact conversation. So I think we've done this before. But
We've done this joke before.
what's weird is this is issue 32, and the one I got before this was issue 28. And I liked issue 28, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep my eyes open for that," you know. But I think when the distributor was new, they were just distributing whatever they had, and like the next issue available for distribution was like 32. So I'm like, I don't know what happened to 29, 30, and 31. And when I was reading the preview for this, the little, blurb, it was like, oh, this is the last part of a 4-part story. And I was like, all right. But I'm not sure. I think this comic might be like a anthology of some kind, because I don't think this relates in any way. I'll have to go back and reread 28. I don't think this relates in any way to 28. So I think each story arc is kind of its own thing. And like this one was all about it's written by John Dolmayan, who I think is also the publisher. Artist, one name artist, Artecida, Artecida, all one word, one Artecida. I don't know how he pronounces that one name. And the color artist is only named Blonde, Blont. The letterer is Josh Reed, cover artist Carla Cohen, production and design Harry Tadioshan with Josh Reed, who's also doing the letterers. But it was a nice some good art. Let me show you
So
the art.
the cover artist is just called Blonde. That gives credence to the probability that it's an AI generated cover.
But no, the cover artist though is named Carla Cohen. The color artist is just named Blonde.
Oh, the colorist. Okay.
There we go. Color and cover probably didn't come through. But the interior art is pretty nice, and the storytelling is good. There's everybody finding out there's a meteor headed towards Earth, so they're immediately getting out and being violent and beating each other. Then there's, like all the religions are going to make peace. Yeah, sure. But eventually, like this is part 4 of a story, and it opens up with these 4 kids running from the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Guy ends up hiding them, and it was the 4 kids who were running from the FBI who had the proof that some sort of giant meteor was heading towards Earth, bigger than the one that caused the dinosaur extinction, and everybody's going to die. Then everybody panicked. Then they came up with a plan. This all happened. I don't know what happened in the first 3 issues of the story. Everybody panicked. Everybody came up with a way to blow up the meteorite somehow. They had like 3 weeks to come up with it. And what's weird, see this guy right here in the beginning. He and his old dog are just kind of meandering through the story. They show up at a couple of points, just kind of as background characters. Or he saves a kid in the beginning. He's a Vietnam vet, and then whatever. But then I'm gonna give away the end of the story because no one out there has read it but me, probably. They blew up the meteorite, or the meteor. It's a meteor when it's out in space. It's a meteorite after it hits. There's the meteor getting blown up. But then all of a sudden it says the pieces of the meteor moving towards the center grew even faster. So the meteor reformed itself. Why on the Earth, Moon, everything in the galaxy that wasn't drawn into this black? So it turns out the meteor was a black hole that they blew up, and everything then all of a sudden, we got this. There's the meteor turned into this blue light, and we get the old guy from the beginning, who doesn't look that old, but running towards the meteor. And when he gets there, you can see the holy light on his face. And he's young again, and so is his dog. And that's the end of the story. I'm not sure what happened in this story. I enjoyed it. It was well done. I mean, I liked the artwork. I liked the storytelling. The script was fine. Maybe if I read the first 3 parts of the story, I'd understand that ending, but I doubt it. It was very strange. But that's a terrific logo by Frank Cho, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there in the Wake Entertainment section. But a nice comic. I'd get some more of it. See what it's like. Oh, who's here? Captain Finity is here.
Mm-hmm.
So is Missing Mars. TGI. God, it's been a week. Yeah, we had a nice blizzard here.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go out and shovel snow for $30 an hour?
Nope.
Way too old for that.
I'm at that age that shoveling snow could kill me. And I'm not kidding. And I've shoveled enough snow in my life.
Yep.
You know, my dad was the super of a couple of buildings. And everywhere I lived, there was snow being shoveled. I did my time.
Yep. No more, thank you. Did you make it to the comic shop this week?
Matter
Wilson?
of fact, I did. That's why I'm eating dinner now, because I just got in through the door.
Well, continue eating dinner. We'll look at your comics a little later.
Okay. But yes, I did grab some books off the rack and a couple of books that was waiting for me.
Cool.
Yep.
And did you see, just before we get on, that colorist and former wife of Woody, Wallace Wood, Tajana Wood, died at 99?
Wow. No, I didn't even know who she was.
I didn't know she was still alive.
Yeah. Well, considering Woody died, what, 43 years?
When did he die? 81 or something like
80,
that?
yeah, 82, I think.
Yeah, I never got to meet Woody at all, so I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
of him.
Right. I heard a lot from. I heard
wasn't even
stories
aware
of him
that
from Jack Abel.
right. I wasn't even aware he was married.
Yeah.
No, Tatiana Wood appeared in some she colored for DC. Didn't she do Swamp Thing?
Yes.
For Tolman.
The Bernie Wrightson ones. Paul Levitz wrote a nice piece on her that I'll read. Let's see. Friar Tuck says, "Got the snowblower running for the storm, thank God." Yeah, I had my John Deere up and running. I got the partying after the last storm.
Yep.
Where is that?
Here she is. Let's see some Tatiana Wood coloring here.
Yeah, let me show it. There we go.
Let's see if I can find some other decent pages. Ooh, I like this one. Meshes well with the with the inking. Ooh, here we go. The proper Swamp Thing.
Nice.
Looks pretty good, considering this was 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, there's let me read the piece Paul Levitz wrote because I thought it was good. Paul Levitz wrote, we lost a legend. Tatiana Wood has passed away, 99 years old, after a long struggle with a fading memory. One of the first true artists to work as a colorist in American comics, she was able to make the extremely limited palette available for newsprint comics sing and create moods. And when better tools were available to her, she can make it positively operatic. Before computer color and back when the technique of blue line color was primarily used for a few high-end newspaper strips, advertising, and other specialties, she mastered it to apply it to The Wizard King, an early graphic novel by her former husband, Wally Wood. The result was a treatment of his already legendary artwork as had never been seen before. Tatiana began providing color guides for DC Comics in the late 1960s, after the company shifted from an in-house color department to freelancers. Gravel voiced from her long cigarette habit, she'd spend time discussing each assignment with its editor and finding a distinctive approach that met their goals. Given the less than modest amount paid for each page's color guides in the field at the time, this was an unusual level of artistic dedication, and the results showed that she carried through in the work. She graduated in 1973 to become the regular color artist for the whole line, probably only the third person and the last to be given that responsibility, and stayed in that role for well over a decade. Tatiana was recognized by her peers, winning the 1975 Best Colorist Shazam Award from the short-lived Academy of Comic Book Arts, and won broader recognition in the field, becoming an inductee to the Eisner Hall of Fame, the first colorist to earn that honor who was not also a cartoonist. There's an afterlife. I think we can fairly anticipate even more vivid sunsets because the scenery crew just added a truly splendid talent. I thought that was a nice little bio and piece by Paul Levitz. And I didn't know she was DC's official colorist for all through the 70s and into the early 80s. 73
Yeah, I had no idea.
I
She
did
was
not.
the
I
Marie
was wondering who it
Cavern
was.
of DC.
Yeah. I only knew, such a person existed because of George Russo's. Is in that, got to work with him in the 90s, and he was in that role at Marvel all through the 80s, late 70s, all into the. I think he took over from Marie Severin in the 70s sometimes.
I believe so. I think Marie had it first.
Yeah. Marie had it for so. I knew there must have been someone at DC, and I knew who did it before her, Jack Adler. Howard Stern's cousin. I knew he did it before. He did it like in the 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Never knew the name.
All right, so let's see.
Let's see. Friar Tuck got 18 inches of snow in his part of Connecticut. Yeah, we got 14 here, which is just about exactly the same as the last storm. and actually less than the city. It's rare that, I'm a little slightly further north, and we usually get more than the city, or the same. So this one we actually got a couple, because I think the official Central Park total is like 17, somewhere around there.
It's something like that.
50 degrees tomorrow, then snow on Sunday. Wonderful. Happy birthday, Jeff Smith from Tit Goblin. All right.
Oh,
Must
nice.
be Jeff Smith's birthday.
And it's also Pokemon Day. Pokemon is celebrating 30 years or something like that. So I was listening to the comic book shop guys talk about how there are different events going on in the city because they're releasing more packs. And in Rockefeller Center, where they have the Nintendo store,
right,
they were selling different items and giving away like stuff like posters, and they were freaking out because the posters were already on eBay for like $50. It's like, that's wild. And then when I was walking around the city after I picked up my books, I passed by Five Below, and they had a line. I said, why would Five Below have a line? And sure enough, Pokemon posters on the outside. So they're selling. They sell packs there. So it was like a whole event. It's like, well, I'm glad I'm not into that particular hobby, because that's just a whole other monster.
Captain Finity says it's so baking hot here, I can barely get out into the garden. It's rough. Saying hello to Brother Fryer. Snowstorm, please.
So
hello there, Dope Comics.
So if Tatiana Wood was the cover colorist, did she come up with the color for this?
Probably. Dave Gibbons could have colored that himself. That's probably that would sometimes happen, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. We wouldn't be able to tell because
we couldn't tell.
Yeah, we have to, which is a shame, right?
Because I know at Marvel sometimes, like George Russo's would color most of the covers. Paul Becton would color some of them too, because especially in the early 90s when there were so many bloody covers. But occasionally the artist who, drew the cover would have an idea for the color and want to draw it himself. Or else like, who was it? Klaus Janson often would, when he would ink a cover, would write color notes to George. You can see some of them, like in the Daredevil artist edition. You can see color notes from Klaus Janson to George Russo's, and George would, follow the color notes usually. If he wasn't under any obligation to, but I'm guessing he would. Why not?
Sure. I mean, especially if the cover artist is the interior artist,
right?
You have to make sure that.
And if somebody's already come up with an idea for you, and it's a good idea,
right?
You do it.
You don't have to think about it.
Right.
As a colorist, it makes it so much easier to be able to go, oh, you want this? All right, here we go. I don't have to think about that.
Right.
That makes the process so much quicker too. And then you have people like Michael Golden, who's a colorist as well. He'll know certain things in shorthands, like, do this on the page.
Right.
And, do a color hold here, do this. He can mark it up, and it makes it so much easier to follow.
Yeah. He knew what he was doing.
Yep.
All right. You know what? Here's my complaint about complaining this week. Things I just don't understand in comics. Not comics, comic collecting. The amount of posts I saw from people who are mad that, what was that? Dork and White. I keep wanting to say White Flag. I can't remember the actual, what was the, it's just over there in my White, the other one that was hot last week, complaining that people are ripping people off and it's all speculators. And I'm just like, well, then don't buy it. Nobody's making you spend $80 for a first print of Dork. You don't have to. Image is trying to sell you a $4 version. They're coming out with second prints. If you want to read it, they're trying to get you. It's like you don't have to. If you're mad that you think it's speculation, who cares? Don't buy it. No one's forcing you to. I just find that bonkers. That people get so worked up over that. I could see them getting worked up over it if they couldn't read it. If you want to read it and you can't.
Yeah, people are reacting on the wrong way to how they should approach buying comics. Yesterday I was on Old Wolf's channel, and there was the moment we was complaining that we don't have anyone to share our love of comics to, and I was trying to give everybody the idea that we need to what we need to do is open up and stop being in the ghetto of the comic shop. And if a younger audience is reacting to something else, we should try to reach out where they are. But people don't want to leave superheroes, and they want to collect comics the same way, and they want to put it in the miler, and even people who have been buying comics for 40 or 50 years, they should know better than to fall for the tricks of having to collect all 20 variant covers. And I don't know how to
so.
Yeah.
And these comics didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like I was aware of it. I saw it on the stands. I was like, that artwork looks neat. I should have picked it up. Not because I wanted to read the stories, like because I want an expensive book that I paid nothing for. But I'll live. There's been plenty of books. I put plenty of books down that are worth a whole lot more. So it's like
White Sky. There's the second word I couldn't remember.
I was going to say White Wolf, but it's like I don't think that was it. So that's why I didn't say anything. But yeah, it's just like it didn't appear out of nowhere. So to me it's like the people who are complaining, are you complaining that you didn't get the book, or are you complaining that you missed out on buying something for cover price and you wanted to flip it?
Yeah. FOMO. Yeah. They're complaining because of their FOMO.
And that's going to cause a lot of new books with a number 1 on it to be bought out. And unfortunately, they're not going to be all A+ books. No. And then people are going to complain about them. That's what I worried about it.
Yeah, the guy who originally posted it was like I think he was a comic. He ran a comic shop too, and he's like, and we didn't order one single copy of that. Absolutely no one was interested in it. I'm like, I pre-ordered both of them. I mean, someone was interested in it, just not in your store.
Mm-hmm.
I learned big lessons with the death of Superman. To this day, where it's like, all right, they're going to print plenty of books, and it's going to be big, and if you are aware of it, make sure you make your order, and order at least one for yourself.
Yep.
And that's it. And if you was smart enough to buy 2, get rid of it as soon as possible, because eventually you're going to be able to find these books all over the place.
Yeah. I actually, as I've said before, I usually read all my comics twice before I put them. I get them on Wednesday. I usually read them all before Friday, and then I read them a second time over the next week before I shelve them away. Just because, like I said, I like that. I like to spend a little more time with them. They're always different the second time through. Helps me remember what's going on in the story. This time for White Sky, I was going to read it a second time, but at the same time, the final order cutoff for the second print of the first issue I got, which had a pretty nice cover on it too. I'm like, well, I like that cover better than mine. I'm like, you know what? For $4, I'm going to order the second print. That way, if I want to sell my first print for whatever money it's worth, whenever, I can. And so I didn't read my White Sky a second time because I'm going to read the second printing. Now that was my plan after after I saw that. But it's got a pretty nice cover on that.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm a reader, not a collector for spec. I don't even think it's the collectors for spec who are complaining. I think it's your average reader who's got FOMO, fear of missing out. I
Yeah.
think fear of missing out makes them angry when they do miss out. I think that's what it was.
Hmm.
Because
back in the 90s, the Brazilians, they
howdy,
used
Sleepy.
Hello,
the
Sleepy.
Brazilians used to collect if a story received some particular attention, because those were anthologies. So like when they did the long shot special edition, long shot ran inside an anthology.
Right.
Then they decided to print the whole thing in a 130 page digest size thing. But they noticed that if something caught the eye of the readers, and they would know from the letters they got,
Mhm.
they would put out a special, or they had a specific reprint title where they did the Spider-Man's John Byrne, and it did the Dark Phoenix saga, and Frank Miller's Daredevil. They would keep reprinting the stuff that everybody wanted to read,
Mhm.
and people who missed out, they would just get those, because
Yeah.
now
There's
nobody complained that, oh no, I only want the other one. No, you can't get the other one. This is a newsstand comic in Brazil.
So you'll be able to read these. They're rushing them back into print. You're not going to miss
Yeah,
out, but they missed out on that
right.
first printing.
Yeah.
And I think it also has to do with, like people, my friends who are my age who used to collect comics, and some, buy 3 comics a year now and don't read them. They might hear about, it's like whenever they hear about a comic on the news and go into the store to try to find that comic and it's not there. And I'm like, this ain't your first time reading comics. Do you know if a comic makes the news, it's sold out?
Yeah.
You have to order. Oh, I don't want to do that. Yeah, we know you don't want to do that. That's why you don't buy comics.
Right.
It's too much effort.
Exactly. If it hit the news, don't even bother looking for it.
Yeah.
Or you can do what all of us smart people do. You wait for the trade.
You're not gonna miss out. It's like,
besides, if you wanna display the comic, it's much neater to have all this the stack here, and you can even show it to visitors. Visitors will be a lot more impressed if you have a 200-page book
mhm.
than if you have a pamphlet stuck inside a plastic box with the numbers 9.2 on it.
And you won't let them touch it.
Don, hi. Hello, guys. Sorry I'm tardy. I was shooting my Friday haul video. A nice stack of Charlton. You haven't bought every Charlton available yet? I guess he just really started buying Charltons.
Well,
recently, right?
Donald's been doing a lot of videos on with romance comics, not just from Charlton. And
okay.
the big thing in the last couple of years for history-minded collectors has been romance comics, because they had been ignored for many years.
Speaking of
Paolo
romance
saying
comics,
floppy readers are not smart? No. We're just talking about people complaining about missing out on Dork and White Sky.
Yeah, you
because they didn't get the first print of the comic. It's like,
but we've had conversations here. You know that the trade paperback is less expensive than the total sum of the floppies.
It is. Like I said, you're either a sucker or an asshole. Those are your choices. Make them wisely.
And as you can see, I am a major asshole.
and here's a thing that's always in my head. Tip Goblin says hobbies are stupid when you really think about them.
Yes.
I don't know. I go back and forth on this because, as I always say, comic collector, people who love comics fall on a spectrum between collector and reader. Collector is the person who buys the comic, puts it in a bag, tapes it up, and never even bothers to read it. They just want to own it. The readers, the person who buys the comic, reads it, tosses it over their shoulder. The value in the comic is the reading of it. And we all fall somewhere on that spectrum, and it can change from day to day. It can change from purchase to purchase. I don't know if, like, since I tend more towards the reader side, I don't see like reading comics as a hobby, because nobody considers reading a hobby. Collecting comics is like kind of on that. If you spend more time shopping for comics than you do reading comics, I think it's a hobby. I don't know what to call it on the reading side, just because people don't call reading a hobby. Like I said, completely unimportant topics that I think about sometimes as I contemplate life.
Well, although
Like,
there are things that we really don't want to think about, because let's imagine you manage to spend $40 a week on comics.
mm-hmm.
That's not too far out.
Right. I probably spend a little less than that, but not
By the end
that
of the
much.
year, you've spent over $2,000
Yeah.
on comics.
Yeah.
Okay, it's $2,000.
Right.
You could have done something else important with those $2,000.
You could have bought a cup of coffee with that.
Mm-hmm.
You could have bought, but if instead of buying comics, you bought textbooks or whatever books you want, would that be a hobby? People who like books generally fill up their house with books. You know, if you've met book people, they fill up their house with books, but no one calls reading a hobby. And I don't know why. It might be. That's why I go back. It's just one of those things I contemplate. Like I said, collecting comics is definitely. I know if you go on YouTube, people refer to collecting comics as a hobby all the time, but those are usually the collector people, not the reader people. So I don't. It's just one of those things that I don't know what to call it sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
a standard philosophical life journey from sucker to asshole. My apologies for most agree. I am on a standard. There we go. From sucker to asshole. By the way, for those of you who don't know, that's my Brooklyn Bridge analogy, but it can apply to any bridge or any traffic situation where when you're driving down the FDR and you're going over the Brooklyn Bridge, there's you get to a point where there's two right-hand lanes to go off onto the Brooklyn Bridge. Of course, it gets backed up all the time. It's New York City. It's the FDR Drive. So if you're going to cross the Brooklyn Bridge from the FDR Drive, you got two choices. You can be the sucker who gets into line and waits his turn, or you can be the asshole who drives up to the front and cuts into the line. Those are your two choices. There are no other choices. You're either a sucker or an asshole. And for comics, you're either the sucker who buys monthly comics, which are more expensive and subsidizes,
and then forgets to pre-order. Then forgets to pre-order Dork,
and forgets to pre-order Dork. That's a whole other thing. Or you're the asshole who goes, I only buy the collected editions because they're much cheaper, and they're so you're one or the other. You have to make your peace with that and be okay with your choice. And I'm the sucker who goes in and subsidizes Paolo, who's the asshole who waits for the collected edition. Not that he has got comic shops where he can be the sucker over there in Portugal, but yeah, those are your choices. You got to
be comfortable with them. Or be the idiot I used to be, and I buy the individual books, and then later buy the trade paperback.
That's just double dipping. Yes, we often see on YouTube the people who are like, "Oh, I want to reread this, but my individual issues are buried somewhere, so I'll just buy the collected." How many people do that? That always makes me
many of times.
I rarely double dip. The first time I bought a trade paperback of something that I already owned was the Blaze of Glory miniseries, the one with the Marvel Western Heroes with art by Leonardo Manco. because I thought that thing would look good with a spine. And yeah, I actually tossed I tossed I didn't toss them. I gave them away. The 4-issue mini. I just kept the trade paperback.
And there's been times when I've been lucky not to do it, but I would see books that I really enjoyed reading. I own it. I may even have a trade paperback, but the compulsion to try to buy it again because I like this story. I like,
Yeah.
Here's a new format. And it's like,
For
if it had
for small
extra
press
stuff in it.
stuff, I do that.
Yeah.
Like Carla Speed McNeil, one of my favorite. I have Finder in so many different versions, just because I want to support Carla Speed McNeil, and it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I have the Alan Moore DCU trade paperback over there. I had from inside there already owned the Brazilian edition of The Killing Joke, and I had bought already owned the Prestige format collecting Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, because they had already been reprinted like that. And after having bought the trade paperback, I bought a Brazilian new edition. And when I mean new edition, it was in a different format with a different translation of the Superman Swamp Thing story from DC Comics Presents.
Yeah.
So yeah,
sometimes you're just like, I want another version of this.
Yeah.
I want to see this one.
Yeah.
Leafy says hobbies are release valves, but can get out of control at some point. Yeah.
Of course.
I think you are more than a reader, Jared. Yeah, I think, I'm also a comics professional, but I was just kind of putting that to the side. I don't think that doesn't come into my thinking of whether it's a hobby or not. So.
And my friends in automobiles, a lot of them, the only way they can buy race cars, since they can't own and race them, is they get the miniature.
Right.
And they start. Okay, and it took them a while to. I stopped. A couple of them said I stopped buying miniatures because they went straight inside the closet because they don't have a place to put them. So if they're not even able to enjoy watching them, what was the point? What is the point of buying more?
Yeah. Huh. Sleepy says, otherwise you wouldn't do a weekly haul in this show. I think that's also because I appreciate comics as an art form, as does Paulo and Wilson. So we like to talk about comics as an art form altogether, kind of wholly, like not just comics as individual collectibles or an individual read, but as like an art form. I very much enjoy talking with you too about that, and anybody else who wants to talk about it. But not all, comic collector. It's not an art form to all comic people have different reasons for liking their comic.
Right. And I've had circumstances when I think I have a hard time making people understand what I mean when we all need to buy more comics because of literary interest. And when I use the word literary, people think I'm making some sort of artistic judgment value.
Right.
And I am not. If you want to buy Archies because you love reading Archies, you should. But you should buy those Archies because you enjoy reading them, not because you're going to put them inside a case or put them in the box or put them in a box, or because you have a complete collection and you don't want to break the run.
I think there's a place in this world for people who just buy them because they want to own it. I mean, I don't mind if someone buys Archies just to put them in the box. They just have nothing to talk to us about.
Yeah. But the thing, I probably need to rewrite my speech because when I really don't make any judgment of value when I mean literary interest. This is a medium that we read. Right. So that's what I mean by literary. You should enjoy reading whatever, and you should worry more about what you are going to read instead of. There's a lot of YouTube channels that They talk about condition, and they talk about filing, and they talk about reordering boxes. They spend more time talking about the technical aspects of collecting than about the stories that are what supposedly leads them to buying.
Because what they like is the physical comic, the ownership of the physical comic book. That's what interests them
Right, and
more
I
than
enjoy
reading the
owning
comic
them.
book.
To me, owning them is a consequence of my enjoyment of
Right,
them.
right. That's that's like I said, that's why I say I'm a collector in the sense that I don't get rid of my comic, most of them.
Right.
But like I said, that's as a consequence of me enjoying them. Matter of fact, the ones I've been given to my students are the ones where I say, am I ever going to read, i.e., enjoy this comic again? And if the answer is no, I can pass it on to my
Yeah.
students. So I don't have to own everything. Captain Finity says, I blew my fortune on fast cars, loose women, and collectible comics. I also wasted some of the money. Plus my printer that's another thing. Like I said, the covers that I keep on top of my printer that I look at all. I've also have another area where I've been putting stacks of comics and shuffling through the covers. It started with those Firefly ones. Then I pulled out some of my Wayward covers. But that also has to do with me wanting to enjoy my comics. So many of my friends who, I've known for 40 years now, comic book fans who don't buy or read any comic books anymore. It's like they deny themselves the joy of it. And I'm just like, that baffles me. And part of it has, I don't know, as society, part of it I think is maleness too. For some reason, men have to deny themselves things in order to feel manly. I don't know what it is. But I'm like, you know what? If this comic book brings me joy, I'm going to set it out here so I can walk by it and go, oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? Even if that's my only interaction with that comic, I'm not going to tuck it away in a box all the time and be like, I've known friends who are like, oh yeah, I love that comic. Oh yeah, I love that comic. It's in my basement now. But they're never going to their basement to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, leave it on your kitchen table for a day. Enjoy it. Just look at it. It just baffles me that they won't do that. So that's one of the reasons I started putting out comics on top of my printer and stuff. It's just to enjoy them. I'm like, I got all these comics. Why don't I enjoy them a little more? So let the things that bring you joy bring you joy. Don't go, no, I shouldn't do that. Why? It's just, you already own it. Put it out.
That's what I've been doing lately with the action figures.
Yeah.
Because I had them for years in a closet, and I was moving a box, and I'm like, oh, what's in this box? Oh, these toys. You know what?
Cool.
I like these. Let me put them somewhere. And started putting them up. The downside to it is like, okay, so I'm looking at my Reign of Superman action figures from Kenner. Right? So here are 3 of the figures. Right? I got Superboy, I got Steel, and I got the Eradicator. So it's like, all right, I have a display idea for them is to put them all in a clear case together. And the clear case is just a thing that was made for the Funko Pops. And it's like, so I did a set with the Green Lanterns that I had. I have 4 Green Lanterns, and it looks pretty good. And it's like, okay, so I need to get my 4 Supermen. And it's like, oh, all right, so I need a regular Superman. And then part of me is like, I know I had it at some point, but I can't find it. And then it's like, okay, so maybe I'll invest $10 and get a Superman. And it's like, but at the same time, it's like, oh, they never made the Cyborg Superman. I think they just stopped doing that set of toys when that line was canceled. I was like, oh, I don't have a Cyborg Superman. I feel like it's incomplete, but I'll put together what I can put. Or it comes into my mind, well, maybe I could customize one. And then, it can start going down that path. So it's like, okay, do I just deal with what I have, put them up, and just call it a day? And that's what I end up doing. Where
Yeah.
other things are like, oh, this is cool. Well, make it better if I get that one more character that I know that they made, so I can have it complete. And of course, that one more character is usually the more expensive one. So it's like, so you have to balance the joy with the agita of trying to fill this
Oh
little
yeah.
group,
You
and that
can't
kind of
let
makes
the
it
stuff
fun
you
too.
don't have define your joy.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, let me put up what I have
Right.
and be happy because occasionally, and it's happened many times, I'll end up running into that one piece I need a
Yeah.
lot less expensive than it originally was. So it's like, oh, if I wait a little bit, if it doesn't pop up on eBay, it may end up popping up on Macari, and the person who's selling on Macari may not know what they actually have, and they'll put it at either a less expensive price or at least something reasonable. Because
Right.
I think too many people believe everything they own is priceless, so it has to go for a ton of money. When it's like, no, they made thousands of these,
Yeah.
upon thousands. They made them for children. And back then, plastic didn't cost that much. So they made
Yep.
so many of them that, you could still find Star Wars toys,
Yeah.
still find Star Wars toys in the package. But again, the whole thing with the hobbies, what I find entertaining now that I'm older, how odd there's so many rules about each of the hobbies. So in comic books, it's a complete no-no to color correct anything, fill in any holes, creases, and all that.
Restoration.
Restoration, no on comics.
Right.
But in posters,
Yeah.
restoration makes them more valuable.
Right. There's
And
all
it's,
those
it's
TikTok and
fascinating to see.
Instagram videos on poster restoration now.
Yeah, there's one that I watch. I'm fascinated by it
Yeah.
because it's like here's an original Star Wars poster, all creases, holes, whatever. They clean it with water, which just blew my mind
Yeah.
that it stays together.
Because it's linen based. It's the
Right.
linen based ones.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, so here they are, and they're going in and coloring it. Not only coloring it, but the tools that they use are reversible,
Yeah.
which I find fascinating too. Is that okay if it wants to be reversed, but once it has been fixed or at least restored, it does bring up the value. Where
Yeah.
comics, it goes directly the other way.
Right.
Toys has a weird
That I
type
think
of
because
area too.
I think the key is too reversible. Because
Yeah,
when comics restoration was big in I remember seeing ads for it in Overstreet in the late 70s and early 80s, it wasn't reversible.
right.
So I think that's what it is. When comic restoration isn't reversible, that's why people are like, oh. Let's see some comments. Let's see. No, I'm a collector who reads some and looks at the picture. And I think you've just been enjoying buying some stuff too. Those Charltons, getting those big packs of Charltons and love stories and stuff like that. Tit Goblin says, my comic reading is reading and like breathing. My comic collecting is because of that, but collecting I view as a hobby, and using comics, studying them, and using as reference, using the paper is a job. Yeah. I think aside from the hobbyist and reader, there are also aficionados who resemble. Yeah, like I said, it's all a spectrum, kind of.
Mhm.
It's no
Yeah.
one's usually one thing. Only the most extreme are one thing. The two-lane merge works faster when all cars drive up and merge.
Yeah.
They say that, but on the FDR highway, nothing works. And at what point are you supposed? Because this isn't a merge to get on. This is a merge to get off, where all of a sudden two lanes appear. So do you get on those two lanes immediately, or do you drive up front and slow down the other two lanes that are in to try to get in those two? This isn't your typical merge where somebody's coming on and you're supposed to drive all the way up to the front and merge. This is it's like a whole different ball game, and there's no right way to do it. I know what you mean though, but I don't think that doesn't work in New York City getting on the FDR because you're not supposed to ignore the two. Like the two merge lanes back up into the two regular lanes. So then what do you do? It's crazy. There's too many cars for the road. Everything I own is a reader copy, but I've also collected all of it and spent a lot of time locally buying. But that part is social, and being social is way more important than what we talk about. Being social. Yeah, that's why I like to go to the comic shop. I love to pull down random boxes and looking through them. Yeah, Harvey, Charlton, Golden Age Key. It's fun. Yeah. How often do you drive into the city, Jared? Rarely. I haven't driven into the city in a few years. I usually take public transportation, but I have. Matter of fact, the first time, I didn't have a car until my late 30s. I took public transportation everywhere, even here in the suburbs, or I borrowed a car from a family member. But I'm also not a drinker. So occasionally, I had some my friends who lived in the city who I'd hang out in bars with, and occasionally we'd one of them would have a car. It's like usually we were taking public transportation, but this is all in the 90s. Occasionally I'd be the designated driver driving us back to Brooklyn. And which meant I was driving in the city a lot at 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. It's a lot easier driving in the city at 2 a.m. The first time I drove into the city when I got my car on a Saturday afternoon, I was like, holy cow, I cannot believe all the traffic. Then I was like, oh, it's not 2 a.m. I've only ever driven at 2 a.m. Yeah, don't blame you. Yeah. Hunting for comics and finding unexpected things is for me both a reader and a collector. Yeah, I just don't like shopping that much. I mean, people call it hunting for comics, it's shopping. I mean, I'm just not that much of a shopper. I'd like to get in, get out.
Now that I'm older, I do like to go in. I hope everything is organized because I don't have the energy to sit there and dig through stuff.
Yeah.
And once I will sit there and dig through stuff if I see everything's priced.
Yeah.
I hate going, all right, how much is this?
Oh, yeah. You don't want to keep having to go up and ask how much something is.
Yeah. And then they go, hold on. And they're looking it up online. And it's like, it's
yeah,
not. And again, in my mind, it's like, I hate that because it's like, you're being lazy. I worked in the comic book shop. It was very easy in the 90s. I don't know how it is now. I got to admit, it's been 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was very easy to check the prices of your books during the course of your workday.
Yeah.
All right. The new guide would come out, and I think it was Beckett's price guide. It would have a plus or minus if the book went up or down since last month. And so you could see right away, you could skim real quickly, like, oh, these groups of books went up this month. So you raise the price accordingly. And then that's it. So once a month, you would go through your prices and just only do the ones that went up. And it's like, yes, I understand there's always books coming in, always books going out. But not to have prices on them, just like, to me, it's a form of laziness. And then it's also, I tend to just walk out of the store because I don't want to stand there.
That takes too much time
to haggle.
Look up every book.
And I hate haggling. I can't. You tell me the price, what it is,
and I'll decide if I want to buy it or not.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and I get it. If I got like 10 books that I'm willing to pay the price that's on there, yeah, let's do a deal. Kind of a thing. But it's like, oh, let me just check it. And the guy will check it and say, well, yeah, that one is originally this. And it's like, I have no way to corroborate that. I'm not looking at the computer you're looking at. I'm not seeing what you're looking at to decide that. It's like, is this much? So to me, it's like, make it easy on me because I just want to come in, grab the books and go.
Yeah, Sleepy says, I hate shopping, so I don't equate it with exploring comic shops. That's because you equate shopping with things you don't want to go shopping for. When you think about shopping and how it's presented to us, sort of like in culture, it's always, the rich woman with the bags from whatever fancy stores she goes to get shoes and clothes. But that's the stuff she wants to go shopping for. And the husband doesn't want to go shopping because he doesn't want to go shopping for that stuff. But if you
But
send the husband to the home store, what was that?
Yeah, if the husband likes fishing,
Yeah,
he's gonna go shopping.
right.
Yeah.
If the husband likes comics, he's going to go shopping in the comic store. Just like how many times have I've seen this at my physical comic store, and I've seen it on YouTube too by people who say, "Oh, I couldn't stay too long because my wife was out in the car." Well, that's because your wife may love shopping, but she don't love shopping for comic books.
Wife should have found another store in the same plaza.
So it is actually shopping. It's just, it's the one thing you like going shopping
Yeah.
for. So you didn't consider, because you associate shopping with buying all this stuff you don't really want to buy. But I don't like, even like when I get it in my head, but I also go to the comic shop every week. I've had a weekly pull list at a comic shop since 1982. And before that, I bicycled or walked to the newsstand every week. So I've been buying comics weekly since I was 10 years old. So there's no real reason for me to shop for back issues that much. So there's that to begin with. And if I get it in my head to get some back issues like I did with these series, matter of fact, I've got some Ms. Trees coming, I can just go online and find them. I'd much rather go online and find them than go to comic shops and look for them. That's just me, because I don't like to spend that much. If there were 6 comic shops in the area like there are with Sleepy, it might be easier because he's got like 4 comic shops within walking distance. If I had 4 comic shops within walking distance, I might go to them and browse a little more than I do. It's primeval hunting. I would say it's kind of more like gathering, but that gets me in trouble.
I find that I tend to have more fun also when I go to comic book shops when I'm somewhere. Since I do a bunch of cons and I go somewhere, I make it a point to try to find out, is there a comic book shop in the area? Or when I do road trips, when I went to my friend's wedding, me and a buddy, that we got invited, we jumped in a car and on our way, we were hitting places to see what they had in like the Pennsylvania area and how their comic book shops were set up. And I find that a lot more fun because then it's like, everyone's selling the same thing, but at the same time, they're all doing it differently. And, how they have stuff set up and how they decorate on the stuff that they personally enjoy. And I find that fascinating. Or even the space they have. Like one of them is in a mall, another one is in a converted house where, I think the upstairs is where they actually live. And then downstairs is the shop area. Stuff like that I find fun to look at.
Mm-hmm. Sleepy says, yeah, for me to order online seems silly when I can get most of the stuff postage for. Yeah, definitely. Like I just ordered my list here of stuff I wanted to fill in from my own collect. Ms. Tree, I need like issues 41 or 40 to 49. But I also saw I never got any of the Ms. Tree quarterlies from DC in the 90s. So I ended up finding they were easy enough to get because they're DC and there was only 10 issues. I think I paid with shipping and tax for all 10 issues, plus a couple. I think he threw in a couple random issues of Ms. Tree that I probably don't need. Was like $28. So $3 a book. Sleepy could probably find all 10 of those issues just browsing the shops around him in their dollar bins or whatever. So he could probably find them, even though $3 a book is dirt cheap for getting them off of eBay or something. He could probably find them even cheaper just going from comic shop to comic shop in an afternoon. So it makes, it doesn't make sense for him to pay the $10 postage I paid. They cut me slack at the local shops, letting me look first at new collections. They give me a good price because I pay cash and don't have a backed up pull list. That, and you probably buy a lot of those books that no one else is going to buy. those Charlton books, I'm sure aren't in those romance books from the 60s, aren't flying off the shelf at your comic shop. So they're like, give them to him. He'll pay us cash money for them.
Speaking of Charlton, one of the things that popped up on my feed recently on TikTok for comic books was that you had a new reader, and she's talking about like the books that she's trying out, and she likes some books, the other books. And she was asking for romance comic books. Do they make romance comic books? And she said she knew that they used to, but she can't find any. Where are the romance comic books? And it's like interesting that there's a call for something, and I have no idea where to put them to because I don't know.
Everlasting Love would be that's the Elsa Charretier.
Right.
One that I was buying for a while. That's sort of a take on romance comics. That's the only romance comic, anything close to a romance comic I can think of. That was new, but that's
and
very good.
Interesting that it popped up on my feed about that, and then of course because I watched something about romance comics, then later on things were popping up, of course, about the yesteryears, how romance comics was outselling everything, and it's like it's fascinating because it's like I've even held romance comic book artwork because they did so much. Every decade did one for a certain amount of time. And it's fascinating how, now there seems to be at least one person calling for them. I wonder if more people are calling for romance comic books.
Last year, there was a smattering of romance books. And speaking of books that Comics Progressive would probably buy, I picked up, this is the one I bought I haven't finished making the print yet. This is the one I bought the negatives of, the print ready negatives of. Spooky Spooktown number 63. I bought the print ready negatives. I showed it a few weeks ago. I scanned them in. I was making a print of them. I haven't quite finished it yet. This is not an easy book to find in terms of choices of copies. This cost me, what was it, $14 shipped and taxed. And it was from eBay, from someone who I don't think was a comics person. They called it high grade. It's mid grade at best. It's got lots of scuffing up in the corners.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of damage.
It is in no way, shape, or form high grade. But it was better than all the other copies I saw on eBay. Not that there's, I'm looking on eBay and looking on mycomicshop.com. There was only like 4 or 5 copies of this issue at most, and this was the best example of it. And so like I said, I ended up going for it just because I'm like, $15. I want it to go, of course, with the negatives I bought, and when I make a crisp printout of it. But I was like, you know what? What am I going to quibble with the guy who obviously doesn't know what he's talking? You can tell when someone's handle doesn't have something to do with comics. It has something to do with, antiques or whatever, that they don't know what they're doing. I'm like, no, and I knew it wasn't high grade just looking at the pictures. It wasn't like it was a surprise to me because there were some pretty good pictures of it. And I went, that's not high grade. So I continued to look and I went, you know what? It's not high grade, but it's the highest grade I've seen because most of these are completely battered.
Oh yeah,
as you
those
imagine.
books were well read by everybody. I like how the red is slightly off on Town compared.
Yeah, that was the one. I showed you when I got. I was weird that Town is It's slightly different red than Spook. I wonder why. I don't know why they did that.
I could only guess that people was probably calling it Spooky Town instead of Spook Town because
Or
it's
maybe they
spooky
wanted it to be
in Spook Town.
ghostly. It's not that ghostly though. I don't
It's
know.
not that ghostly. I could only think it's because you got Spooky and then you got Spook Town.
They wanted
And
to
people,
emphasize spook that
yeah,
second time.
because you could easily just say Spooky Town.
And it's really windy when a tin can and a banana peel are blowing in the air.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen too many tin cans blow around the street or banana peels.
Hmm.
Maybe in this blizzard we just had, they would have been, but I didn't see it.
You never know.
But I'm happy to get that.
That's nice to have. It's pretty cool.
Is your spooky printout regular book size? I'm gonna make one regular. I can make, but where is it? Where did I put it? I have the. There we go. This is the. So I made it 11 by 17. There it is without the marks on it. See, here it is with all the printer's negative marks on it, and here it is without it. So this is sort of like a proof copy. I didn't print it on good paper yet. So I'm going to print it out at 11 by 17. Just because with those negatives you can. you can make a really nice print with them. Because they're the exact negatives they made the printing plates with. So I'll be able to make a nice printout. Yeah, I don't know if Comics Progressive saw the one I got last year. I got, I don't know where I put the printouts. I have them there I think they're in the other room. But I bought the negatives to the last issue of Little Lotta that never got printed. So it's a cover to Little Lotta 121 or 122. I can't remember. But if you go to the comic book database, the Grand Comic Book Database, which I wanted to post there, but I couldn't because for
It's
whatever
not
reason.
a comic.
Because
No,
it's
you
not a
can't.
comic.
Right.
You can see that I made a printout of the cover, really nice cover too, of Little Lotta that never was printed. But they made it all the way up to the one step away from the printing plates. The negatives cost about, with shipping and tax, about $50. So they're not super. Matter of fact, they're cheaper than most production art on eBay because they don't look good by themselves because they're negatives. Like I've seen like stats of the black plate go for a lot more because you can frame them and hang them on your wall. The negatives, unless you're a production person, you really don't know what to do with them. I mean, you could frame them and put them on your wall, but they're negatives, so they don't look that good. Especially the black plate looks fine, but it's a negative of the black plate. The color plates just look like blobs until you scan them in and put them all together. Then they look, that's how they're supposed to look. So I think they're a little cheaper than a lot of other production art just because they don't look good in a photo on eBay. Matter of fact, I think I'm the only, this is the third set I bought from this, it's a comic shop in the Carolinas somewhere, I forget where, on eBay. This is the third set I bought from him. I think those are the only 3 sets he sold. Because all the other stuff seems to be there still. Want to show us some comics, Wilson?
Sure. So, no particular order. I just grabbed them out of the bag. So, the first book that we have, this one was waiting for me on my pull list, which, by the way, I got an email yesterday saying that the following books have been pulled off your pull list because they're not in print anymore. So, it's like, oh, I may have to double check to see. But I think I did know that some were ending soon. So, I have put onto my pull list this book called Spider-Man Venom Death Spiral, issue number 1. So this is a hidden key because I haven't read it, so I don't know what big reveal that's going to be in it. But everyone's going to want it. So I'm going to speculate that now. So in this course of the story, they do introduce a tiny venom-like creature. Here he is with Johnny.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if that's the first appearance or something like that, but
It's like comedy Venom?
yeah,
Lil Venom?
I think it's the symbiote without venom at all.
Venom Mite?
Yeah, it's probably more like Venom might. Other than that, I couldn't tell you what else is going on in the story. So it's like once I saw it on the pull list, and it's like, okay, let me give that a try to see where they're going with this story.
Nice
So it's
cover.
one of 9,
Oh.
which is also an odd,
Strange number to make
strange
a
numbering
series.
system. So we have that. Next, that was on my pull list is Superman issue 35. This is also a tie-in with that DC KO book that's been going through, where it's basically DC's been crossovering with a ton of other IPs. So this is Superman 1. And I'm not too sure who that character is. And flipped over. This might be, is very well could be what Doomsday has become. In the comics, he's become some kind of weird prophet creature.
Huh.
And then what I pulled off the shelves, because I actually bought one for myself and for a friend of mine, is Dynamite Entertainment is doing a Muppets Noir story.
Oh, wow.
So here's
The
cover
Muppets
1.
Noir.
Cover 1. Here's cover 2. This is I picked up for a buddy of mine who's really into the Muppets. So I had at the comic book shop, I had sent him a picture of it, like if he was interested, and said, "Yeah, pick me one up." So this one's his cover, and this is the cover that I picked up for myself. And then I also picked up a blank cover to eventually draw the Muppets at some point.
Uh-huh.
So it takes place in the Muppet universe, and it opens up at the Muppet Show. So it is within the Muppet Show stuff. Kermit's preparing for a show. He's getting very frazzled, so he goes off to the side to like unwind and read a mystery novel called Rip Marlin. Is the detective story, and while he's sitting there reading it, Muppets being Muppets, they're practicing juggling bricks.
Huh.
So you can imagine where the story is going to go. So of course, Kermit is reading a noir story, and he gets hit with a brick. He's knocked unconscious, and then he wakes up and starts being a detective named Philip Minnow.
He goes into the dream world.
Yep. So the series takes place in that dream world. We still get to see what the Muppets are doing outside of the dream world, trying to wake them up, and things that they say do enter the dream world.
Ah.
So the course of the story is Kermit trying to solve a mystery while the other Muppets are trying to take care of him and wake him up. And so the story basically continues, and then there is at least a next issue. So I imagine 4 issues are going to probably be it, but I'm not too sure. So it's basically doing what they do good with the Muppets is they take the characters and put them in weird situations. This one happens to be a dream world. And so those are my picks for, not the picks, those are the books that I picked up this week.
Uh-huh. Well, let's see. Did you say you have a bunny issue? Yes. I just want. I got the negatives to. This is Bunny issue number 21. I have a big print out of this somewhere. This is just the comic issue with the. This is Bunny 21, and I want to point out that they were Harvey at this time was such a. This was printed in like 76. I think it's the last issue, like 10 years or something after the last issue of Bunny, and they didn't even bother to white out the balloons on the color separations. So I've got and I also got some Bunny original art. Whoops, let me show you. And this is the Little Lotta one. This is like, you can see it. This is the black line, and it is a negative. And this is like the best looking part of them if you just buy this as production art and want to frame it and hang it up. So, it's tough to see. But once you scan it in and put it all together, this is the Little Lotta cover that was never printed. And of course, I've got and I actually, this isn't boarded. This is comic book size, and I put it in board. And I gave a few of these out at my local comic shop to Little Lotta fans, just as the Little Lotta one that was never saw print. And and he asks, what other mostly it's Harvey negatives from the early to mid 70s. They got some Sad Sack, Little Lotta. I think there's some hot stuff there. Spooky Spooktown. Who else was there? I mean, yeah, some of that Harvey's. Yeah, that's what I can remember off the top of my head. Bunny, of course. I don't think Bunny came from a different seller, if I remember correctly. That was the.
Yeah, I think Bunny might have come from a different seller because that's when you were collecting pop art.
Right,
covers.
right. That's how I stumbled onto Bunny. And that's where I stumbled onto, let me see if I can find it for you. This is the original. You can see how big it is. It's twice up art. This is the original art from Bunny number 11, page 56. And I bought this because I loved, what's her name? Mary Bopper's Bad Space Lady. Here, I'll get you this one. How can I not like Mary Bopper's Bad Space Lady, who looks like the artist made her bosom is whited out. I guess the artist made her too sexy. Oh, it was Howard Post. That's who did this. And whited out her butt line too, right over on her butt there. You can see the white out on it.
Would have been the comics code.
He was making Mary Bopper's Bad Space Lady too sexy for the kids, so they had him so they'd unsexy her a bit. But I ended up buying these two pieces off of eBay. They weren't. I forget how much I paid for them, like $100 or $200. I can't. I'll have to look up how much I paid for them, but they weren't that expensive. Little Lotta's actually a favorite of mine from Harvey. Well, if you want the last cover of the last issue that never, I'll send you a file. Hi, Eisman drew a lot of Bunny. Yeah. Howie Post is great. He is.
I'm not very familiar with Howie Post, although I know when I was going over the entirety of Marvel's output on the Grand Comics database, Howie Post worked on Marvel's humor magazines in the 50s a lot, and then he disappeared even before the Atlas implosion. I guess he was one of those guys that got tired of having to plot for Stan Lee.
Yeah. Was it him who did Anthro for DC in the 60s? I think that's one everybody likes of his. Anthro. If memory, because I think my friend Ed has some layouts from that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was Howie Post, unless I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, I had to look up that he did those ones because I'm not that familiar with his work either. Do either of you remember Anthro from DC?
I never cared.
Yeah, I think it was like a Barbarian with Dinosaurs comic or something.
It
Yeah,
was sort of it. It was sort of what was it of a alley kind of a mixture of
Alley-oop?
alley-oop with
Yeah,
the
I can see that now.
what's the one with the hillbillies?
Lil Abner.
Little Abner. Yeah, it's a mixture. It's a bit of a mixture of those of the two because it's a teenage caveman and his girlfriend.
right. I don't think I ever read it myself. Like the name is familiar, but I
Yeah,
never read
I
it.
only ever saw it in the house ads.
Yeah, like I recognize the logo,
Yeah,
but
that
that's
was him.
about
He
it.
did Anthro. Yeah, that. 'Cause I think my friend Ed has some layouts from how he posts. I can't remember what they might have been for Anthro, might have been for something else, but he's a big fan. That's where I first heard of him from my friend Ed. Buying the original art years and years ago. Let me show you another comic I got. The Power Fantasy, number 16, with that nothing of a cover. The cover is more symbolic than anything. This is the one that's by Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard. And it's the idea he got when he was working on the X-Men with all those Omega-powered mutants. And it's the one that's about superheroes who are so powerful that they were trying not to fight because their powers were measured in how many millions of people would die if they fought. That's how powerful they were. And the one guy the book started out in the 60s, then flashed forward to 1999, I think it was, and then flashed back on occasion, but most of it took place in 1999. But in the 60s, the guy who was trying to keep the peace, who's this major telepath, made a deal with this woman who was an angel, a literal angel, who was born when the atomic bomb went off, and she was supposed to protect humanity. But she didn't know anything about God or anything. She was getting no message from God, or she was just an angel trying to protect you. But she was just another superpowered person, but not really a human, even though she looked human. So the whole book, and Kieran Gillen said they were originally going to end it here, and he mentioned that like 10 issues ago. So I think we got some more ideas for after this ending. So we're going to get more of this. I don't think for another year or something. But eventually, a few issues ago, the guy who was keeping the peace, or trying to keep the peace, got killed. And that, of course, was the mechanism for everything going to hell. Literally. Because in the last two issues, because Europe is gone in this world. Because in 1989, and this was a flashback story, this alien woman or woman from another dimension, we're not sure, showed up on Earth, made her home somewhere in England, and started this kind of cult of pleasure. So everybody was joining the cult, everybody was having a good time. But then for some reason, she decided to open a gateway to hell, and they had to kill her. And in killing her, all of Europe got vaporized. There's just a big ocean over there now. And that was the 19. So now at the end of this, since I'm going to spoil this ending for everyone. So if you I don't think anyone but me is reading this here. But after that guy died, something was revealed by the person who helped save everybody in 1989 was now getting visions of hell, and she was ending up going to hell. No matter, she kept trying to do things to not go to hell. But meanwhile, she was opening a gateway to hell to try to not go to hell because she was crazy. And everybody was trying to stop her, coming up with plans to stop her, because as soon as she opens the gateway to hell, the earth is over. It's done. It's over and done. That would be the end of the world. That was the end of the world. They stopped in 1989, and in 1999, it's gonna happen. How is the artwork in that Power Fantasy? I like it. I'm a Casper Wingard fan. He's got this sort of fine line style. There's a nice picture. He's very good at human figures. He's got this sort of fine line style. I've been following him for a while now. I enjoy his work. He's done some things with Kieran Gillen. He's done some things without him, and I generally will buy stuff that Casper Wingard draws, even if Kieran Gillen isn't writing it. But at the end, sure as shooting, she ends the world. But the kicker is, she ends the world, and somehow I think this is her ending the world, going to hell. But then somehow the angel who was born right after World War, when the atomic bomb went off, gets flung back in time to the 60s, where she and the guy who was trying to keep the peace had their talk about what they should do to try and stop the world from ending. And one of the parts of their talk that they had was, should we take over the world? Should we, as superpowered beings who have the power to destroy the world, take over the world in order to run it so we don't destroy it? And they eventually said, no, that's probably not a good idea. We'll probably destroy it. So now she goes back in time. We're back in the 60s. And I think her last words are like, let's take over their last words were, let's take over the world. So I think now we're going to see this play out again with a different starting point. So I said the whole thing was kind of interesting. I liked this book a lot. So we'll see. We'll see if that's actually going to happen, or if this was their ending at the beginning and they've got completely something different going on. So backwards in time, hey.
I like the idea that they sent Europe to hell. I can just imagine. Hell is in that world. Hell has become much colder because of carbon legislation. You cannot emit that much CO2. Al. You have to turn off those furnaces.
Which just reminds me, I read digitally. I didn't buy it. God, what was the name of that one with the spaceship going to hell? The movie? Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Such a disappointment of a movie.
Exactly. You know what it is? Everybody loves that. There's a lot of people who love that movie, but it's really flawed.
Yes.
Everybody loves what that movie could have been.
Yes.
More than they love the movie, because it's a horror sci-fi set in space.
Horror sci-fi set in space, and then they describe stuff they easily could have shown you.
In the comic book, they should, because the comic I read, which I think came out, who put that out? Boom or somebody recently? There's 5 issues. And I thought it was, and it says inspired by the movie. What they did, I think they've got a new version. What they did was they made it's really an adaptation of the movie, except they fixed all the stuff they didn't like. It's full of visual horror. Because the basic plot is of the movie itself, you're on a spaceship out in space and they're about to test their gravity drive, which is supposed to give you faster than light travel. Except something went wrong when they tested their gravity drive, and that's when the horror movie began. Except it really wasn't like, I haven't seen it since whenever it came out. I just remember everybody being disappointed by it, and it was like not that good a movie. But like I said, it's one of those movies that everybody wanted to be good because what happened,
it could have been.
and everything was implicit in the movie. Nothing was explicit. Like you said, they described things they could have shown.
Right.
So
Yes,
that's
even
what
something as simple
disappointed
as,
people.
that there's a portion about, they talk about, have you ever seen what fire looks like in space? Completely different. And they go to describe like a ball of fire. The technology existed back then to make this, but instead they just sit and they talk about it. It's like,
Right.
okay, are we going to get fire later? Maybe that's what they're setting up. Nope, not at all. All they did was, describe it that way.
In the comic book adaptation of the movie, they make it explicit that the gravity drive is a wormhole. So they're creating a worm. The gravity drive creates a wormhole so you can take a shortcut through space. The problem was they made a wormhole that went to hell. So now the whole spaceship is not getting out the other side of that wormhole. It's in hell. And the literal devil is like, ooh, a spaceship. This is cool. I can ride this back to Earth. So then the devil is just killing and torturing everyone and trying to get him to fix the spaceship so he can take it to Earth. So everything that was implicit in the movie is explicit in the comic, and there's lots of horror comics drawing.
Didn't we do this in Star Trek 5?
It was God. That was different. That was a different horror.
Excuse me. Why does God need a spaceship? Was that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
So it was worth a read. There we go. Why does the devil need a starship to get out of that wormhole?
Yeah.
Like a black hole, but it
makes
went to
sense.
hell.
Devil's trapped in hell.
Tell, don't show. Classic writing axiom. Yeah, I thought they opened a portal to hell. Yes, that's what they did when they were trying to make a wormhole. More movies are flawed than are great. Yeah, but I think Event Horizon stood out among them because it was sci-fi and horror. And you hardly ever saw that back in the day. And people wanted it to be good.
Yeah, because that could have been an interesting franchise.
Backwards in time. Yeah. Did she immediately wipe out her teenage grandfather to prove she's in a new timeline? No, she's an angel, so I don't think she has a grandfather. Oh, and here's something about how we post is great. Sure, teenage caveman, baby. Listen to T-Rex, baby. That's Anthro. DC is putting out April's Swamp Thing 89 from Veitch. It's the last issue they wouldn't print after he left the. Yeah, I was actually looking at that going, oh, I should get that because I was reading Swamp Thing at the time and still have the issues.
So this would be a good time for DC to reactivate their TPP department.
Yep, because DC originally he had Swamp Thing going back in time to meet Jesus on the cross, and DC was like, no. And then Veitch was off the book after that, so the story never. So they're going to actually print them. That's pretty interesting. Psych, spelled the correct way. I don't think the movie was as bad as some people make it out to be. I don't really remember. I remember it being mediocre. I don't think anyone thought it was terrible. They just wanted it to be good, and it wasn't. Not as great as they wanted. I remember being confused by it. But like I said, if I can only remember my opinion about the movie and can't remember the movie itself, that means my opinion is expired.
Yeah, it's like I watched the movie the one time.
Yeah.
And the only other time ever talking about it was in the bullpen,
right,
complaining about how good it could have been.
Right.
and it did come up a lot. It's like, why describe something? It's almost like saying, oh my gosh, that monster is undescribable. And you never turn the camera to look at the monster.
Well, they drew the monster in the comic, so it was fine. The comic was a solid comic. I thought it would be sort of something taking place in that, because I'd heard good things about it, but I really didn't want to buy it, so I read some
Right.
digital copies of it. But that might make me go out and get the next version of it, I think, because I thought it was going to be like an extension of them, like, more stuff in this world, but they actually, decided to start with the movie, and you can't really call it an adaptation of the movie because it's not. They got great visuals in it. The art is terrific. They show you all the stuff the movie didn't show. That the movie stood around and talk. I remember people standing around talking and being horrified.
Right. So I'm wondering if the comic book was based on the original story that they were supposed to film, and I don't know,
Or,
maybe they ran out of money. It's like,
or
what
they
do we
just
do?
filled in the
Let's talk
blanks.
about
It doesn't take much to figure out what they should have done.
Yeah.
Showed the monsters and told you what was going on. Because I don't remember the movie them supposed to be in hell. There was just like monster. They were all of a sudden they turned on the gravity drive and there were monsters, and you're like,
I think I
what?
do recall in the movie they said they transported. I want to say not wormhole, but they might have gone through a black hole, and that
Yeah.
led to hell, if I remember correctly. That hell was implied. That they could have even been a hell dimension. Of all
And
things.
speaking of horror, murder podcast.
Ooh.
Not, I guess you could. This is a little bit of horror. The covers certainly are, because the covers are usually some person half dead having murdered everyone. And I just found out what is in the back. I love the Jeremy Juan covers, but there's also cover B has connecting covers. And I'm a sucker for connecting covers. I'm like, don't have the connecting covers. But the artist, and this is the one where if you hear this podcast, you end up murdering everybody around you. And there's the evil guys in robes who are somehow behind this. We don't know much about them yet. So it's kind of true crime. It's kind of horror. There's these women who are who are like a book club, except for true crime podcasts. And they're trying to figure out what's going on in their town. Meanwhile, the cops are also trying to figure out. The wife of one woman in the podcast club is also a cop who's trying to figure out what's going on. And it's sort of like a ghost podcast too, because it's season 2, episode 1 of a popular podcast, but the people who put together that podcast haven't done it yet. It doesn't exist. And if you're listening to the podcast on your phone, that as soon as it comes on, that's when you start to murder someone, and it burns the podcast like welcome screen into your phone, and your phone's now fried. So the cops know it must have something to do with this podcast because it's at every scene, but they can't get any information on it. So it's been a fun. I've generally liked the stuff Jeremy Juan has written. A matter of fact, I want to reread Red Mother. I think it is that one that came out a few years ago, and Mike Tisserod's doing a good job on the artwork. Nick Filardi colored by, and World Design lettered by. So I'm enjoying this one, issue 5. Ignition Press has been putting out some good books. If only I had any clue what those numbers were down there that tell you to go to their website and put them in, and you go to their website and there's no place to put them in.
Wonder if there's a podcast.
There could be. What was that book I was reading? There was one book I was reading. There was from Image. I can't remember the name of it now. I gave away the issues. I think Brian Buccellato was doing it. Steve's brother. I can't remember the name of it now. It was part of the Radiant Black universe, whatever. I can't remember the Massive Verse, but it really didn't have a lot to do with superheroes. But there was a podcast that went along with it that was done by like these Hollywood people. So I'm like, are they trying to turn this into a movie? I think, did Rachel Lee Cook do the pod? Someone like that did the podcast. I was like, I heard the event comic is I thought it was a prequel too, but I think it followed. I mean, I haven't seen the movie in so long.
Well,
It
the
seemed
movie's
more
about.
to me, rather than being a prequel, to be what they wanted the movie to be.
Well, the movie itself is the second crew that goes
Oh,
to it
okay. Maybe
because
this was the
the
first
ship
crew then.
the ship
Yeah.
comes back by itself, and they don't
Oh,
know
okay.
what happened.
Right.
So maybe that it is a
Maybe this
prequel
is
in
the
the
first
sense
crew
it
then.
tells us
Okay.
what actually happened, the
Yeah.
stuff that we wanted to know
Right. Because
that was hinted
it
in the
didn't, yeah,
movie.
it didn't say prequel. It was like based on the universe or based on the something. It just said like based on rather. Okay. Yeah. So you're right. This could have been the first crew then.
Yeah, because no one came back alive, and then they were like, what is this thing
Let's
in the
send another
middle?
crew out to do the same thing.
Exactly, because they come back with something. That's fear.
Right.
And so the sphere is supposed to maybe living, maybe not. And then I think Sam Neill sticks his head in it and he gets possessed by whatever was in it. Those are like the images that I
Right.
remember from it. But I do recall it was the second crew to go,
Okay.
what happened to this thing?
This must have been the first crew then.
Yeah. But it gives
That
us
makes
what
a
we
little
all
more
wanted
sense.
to know.
And something I read that was really, really good. I think I should. Sunburn by Andy Watson and Simon Gain. If you remember a few weeks ago, I read Paris, and then I went out and got Sunburn, which is by the same team. And both of these are so good. They give me such a sense of place. Matter of fact, I want to reread them. I want to read them again right away, just because. And like Paris, Paris gave me. I've never been to Paris. I only know Paris from movies, but it gave me such a sense of place of Paris. And this is 1950s Paris, so there's no cell phones and stuff. But it gave me, and part of it was because Simon Gain spent so much time drawing Paris. Whenever he wants to set a mood, there's pages. I think it starts with 12 pages of drawings of Paris, and they're just terrific. I'll show them a little bigger. They're just terrific. Such a sense of place. Museums in Paris. And then this one takes place in Greece. Once again, such a great sense of place. Doing all these drawings of Greece, you really feel like you're on one of the islands. In the beginning, we didn't quite have 12 pages. Oh, that's back in home in England. Guys aren't, but blue sky behind her a lot.
That is
The
nice.
vistas were terrific. Like I said, I've never been to Greece, but this gives me a great sense of the place as part of the story. Blue skies, everybody in summer clothes. I don't know if I just showed that one. But one of the reasons I also want to reread these is I think this one also took place in the 50s. Here's the description of it on the back. Rachel is a teenager who lives in a gray suburban life in gray suburban England. With her summer already mapped out for her, a job working at the butcher, and a caravan holiday in Clacton, it seemed like this year will only bring more of the same. So when family friends invite her to spend the summer with them in Greece, she jumps at the chance to escape her life and finally be treated like an adult. It's kind of, I'd call it a coming of age, and it takes place in the past too. I don't think this is current day and time. But I think she's 16, and she goes to Greece to spend time with people she doesn't even know. This couple, they're like somebody her father used to work with. Well, he doesn't really know him that well. But, this guy used to be on the job with, so they're job friends. And the guy's like, hey, send your daughter here, our 16-year-old daughter here out to Greece. She can spend the summer with us. And in 2026, that's the start of a true crime novel.
Right.
That's the start of a horror movie. So I kept expecting something really bad to happen to her. But the only thing bad that happened to her was some coming of age stuff. So I want to read it again without that sense of horror and dread that I felt. I'm like, who is sending their 16-year-old daughter to spend the summer in Greece with people who they barely know? But I guess that was a lot more common in the past. But just terrific. Simon Gain, such a good. I mean, Andy Watson's a good artist himself, but he's not drawing this. He's doing some excellent writing in here. Simon Gain, just the art in it, such a terrific sense of mood and place and feeling. Definitely two things that more people should read. Matter of fact, I think now that if we always ask the question, what would you give a person who reads but doesn't read comic to read? I would definitely give them either one of these. I think somebody who just reads and doesn't read comics would be able to appreciate these much more than Watchmen.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to give a comic to somebody who doesn't read comics, never ever give them a superhero comic.
Yeah, but even like I mean, you know me, I love non-superhero comics. But even then, it's like a lot of like the non-superhero comics I read are too advanced to give someone. They depend on you having knowledge of comics, kind of. These are much more general. Like Finder is one of my all-time favorite comics. Oh my God, that comic's so good. I don't know if I gave a random graphic novel, except for there's one Finder, like, I don't know if they'd be able to appreciate it because it's got so much depth to it that I don't know. There's one called Talisman that ran 3 issues and was about a little girl who loved books. I think I could give that one to any reader because it's about the love of books. So I think anybody who's a reader would appreciate that. But the one that's all about her creating these different cultures and how they interact, I don't know how a person who's just a typical reader would take that, because it's you have to really be able to appreciate her ability to create cultures and whole and worlds with those cultures. And comic book fans are used to that. I don't know how much other regular reading fans are used to that. I'm just not sure. Like I said, I would give them Talisman. And Howard Chaykin's Black Kiss, of course.
That you give to your friend who's a jock.
Andy Watson had a minor hit called Geisha in the mid-90s, I recall liking. Yeah, I think I found that one after Monday Afternoon. So I first discovered him maybe in the aughts with, I think, Monday Afternoon, and then I went back and read Geisha, I think it was. Yeah, I remember, but that is, I think, when he made it onto everybody's radar. And as a cartoonist too, not just a writer, he was drawing that stuff. I wonder how he got into just writing stuff with Simon Gain. Even these two are about a decade apart. Sunburn was a straight up graphic novel, I think, 2022. So that one's fairly recent. Paris was printed in a few different places, I think by Dark Horse, it said. You see, it's at the end. Come on, notes. Must be in here some. Simon Gain art. Where is our yeah, this version was 2022, but it was originally, or was it the other one that was originally somewhere? First printed. They've got those confused. Let me see. I'm completely confused now. I thought one of them was printed. So, that's right. It was in the back here. That's right. We can see the only reason you'd know it was printed before is because they print the original cover and it says the original book cover published by Slave Labor Graphics in 2007. So originally this was from a Slave Labor Graphics, and I think there was a couple of issues. And you can always, where is it? And you can always give normies, comics with paper dolls in them. But definitely those are going to go on my list of things I could give people who read but don't read comics to read. We should make up that list because we talk about it all the time, but I've never written it down. I'll have to start. I'll make that list right now. Let's see. Where's a random piece of paper? I should open my notebook. That's what I'm going to put it in. Recommended books for general readers. I think I just spelled recommended wrong. Is recommended have 2 M's in it?
Yes.
Just looks funny then. Oh, I forgot to write the books down. Paris and Sunburn. Watson and Gain. It's like I forget how to write. I keep skipping ahead a letter. I wrote WT, then I had to go back and do the A. I do that occasionally when I write. I skip letters ahead. Let's see. We got issue 4 of our very European voyeur. I say that because it's got nudity in it. And this is the one that's about an art heist. But so far, we're 4 issues in, and they haven't got around to the heist yet. They're still planning it. But I've once again, Ignition Press. They make good physical comics. It's got nice cover stock on them, so I like that because it's a $5 comic, all their stuff. And who's it by? Leah Williams and David Baldioni. There he goes with that accent again. Baldioni. Why am I putting an E at the end of it? There's no E at the end of it. Baldion. I like that cover coming for number 5. But yeah, this has been a good one. I think it's only going, I don't know how many, probably 6 issues. Who knows when they'll wrap it up, but it's been a good read, good physical comic. I like good physical comics. Mm-hmm. Is that all the comics you got this week, Wilson?
That is all the comic books that I picked up. Yeah. I wanted to say there was a trade paperback I was looking at, but I don't recall exactly.
Thumbs up the
what it
vid
was.
if you like, please. Donald recommends, I would say, the Paul series by Michael Rabagliati. I like those. I just reread one of those. That's a good series. I think we talked about it a couple months ago when I reread an issue. He's the French Canadian guy. Paul up north. and Paul does stuff. What else did you get there, Wilson? Are you showing us something?
Yeah, I was trying to see if there was something because I've been going through like the comics and stuff like that and pulling little things here and there. And it's like, oh, this is nice to have for the show, but I don't recall what it was and where I pulled it. It was like it was remnants from Marvel stuff.
That's what I do now with this. I used to like pull this out and put stuff in it right before the show. Now I put it in
Right.
all week. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about the show. Let me put it in there. So I just have it sitting over there next to my easel, and I throw a comic or two in it that I want to mention.
That's definitely a good idea because I've
Yeah.
been going through some folders looking for. I was looking for some old press releases
Ah.
that we did at Marvel since I was at the conventions department, and I posted them on Facebook. So I had found some of the invites that my office put out, and one of them was for Kiss Nation, I think was the project that Marvel had put out. So we had put out a press release. It was for Marvel Music, and again, these press kits we did it at the office. So
Right.
so at a Kinko's we bought this beige paper, and so everything was on the beige paper. So the press release itself was on the beige paper. The white paper that we had photos of KRS-One. Kyle Baker, I believe, was on one of the projects, and then an image of Gene Simmons' demon character that was drawn by an artist whose name escapes me right now. So that itself was funny enough is signed by Gene. And then the front of the envelope, it just has the Kiss logo or the Marvel Music logo. And we basically just we printed it on white paper, tore it out, and then glued it, waxed it onto to the cover of the envelope. And then that was the press release and we made a ton of them all by hand, kind of a thing. And it was like, oh, this is, I don't have many of the items that I actually created working at Marvel
Well,
at that
find
time
yourself
period.
a spot this week and put
Yes,
stuff in it so you know for next week.
I'm sure.
What has he got there?
Nah,
It,
it's on my printer.
Tit Goblin says French Canadian comics are always a blast.
So as you can
Donald says
see,
also Chester Brown for adventurous readers, and Seth and Joe Matt. 3 of my favorites. I don't know if I'd recommend Joe Matt for a first-time comic reader. Seth, maybe It's a Good Life If You Don't Weaken. One of my all-time favorites. Chester Brown, I'm not sure. I don't know if your average reader would respond well to Chester Brown. His early stuff, I love it, but might be too wacky. And like paying for it, a lot of comics fans don't like that because they're immature, but not a topic they want to see in their comic books.
yeah, it's just larger questions to ask first before you even recommend books
Yeah,
to readers. It's like, so what is it that you like is always the first
yeah,
thing, It's like, no, I didn't ask you what comic book you like. What
yeah.
do you like reading?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people do want to go to superheroes, but
Yeah.
they don't know where to start with superheroes.
If people were if people were interested in superheroes and asked me about them, I'd give them some superhero stories, probably, yeah. But I
Right.
wouldn't necessarily give them to them right away if they didn't ask me about them. They had no clue.
Right, exactly. So yes, it was on my printer. So here's what it looks like.
Marvel Music.
Marvel Music's logo on there, slapped on, again, Kinko's folder. Then inside, it basically looks something like this. So the text is Marvel Music Future Projects.
Who wrote the text?
I'm going to guess it had to be Gary.
Yeah.
I'm not positive. That's the only thing I can think of, because there's no one really credited in this.
Yeah, no, I imagine it wouldn't be credited, but
Yeah, so and like we don't even have the editors on here.
yeah.
It's just whatever the projects are. And these were all copied and on my Facebook page, so I think you should be able to read them from there. This was the image that was done, and this was the advertisement itself for Kiss Story, not Kiss Nation. This is another one. These were all kind of being done around the same time. And then
Remember
uh,
1-800 numbers to order things?
oh yeah, here is, I don't know if you can see the silver, but that's Gene Simmons' signature on there.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. I saw some shining silver.
Yes. So that was because again, he would do the shows with us, and Gene was a hardcore comic book fan. And then this is the KRS one and Carl image. These were not signed, although I did run into, because we had two major shows that I was a part of. So the San Diego Comic Con and then the New York Comic Con, and then I got like two more of the same thing.
I was a Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One fan. I could sing you some lyrics.
There you go. So, and again, it's like, I'm glad I found it. I thought I had more, mainly because it's like I didn't get to really keep much of the, wasn't thinking about it, the stuff that I did for the production department. I do have like I was lucky and I kept a bunch of the stuff that I did with Alex Ross on Marvels and the 4-color gallery, because our office created the poster for it. So I have the original poster for the 4-color gallery, and I have like a paste up mechanical for one of the covers to Marvels, signed by Alex, and he drew the Kermit the Frog as the Green Goblin. And then he wrote, "It's not easy being the Green Goblin." So it's like, so I had a bunch of those things that I would think about. Oh, yeah, it'd be cool to keep this because I worked on it, helped put this together. But there's like so many projects I worked on and never bothered to keep a copy of. So lately I've been going through some of my files, because I have like 2 or 3 different files of Marvel stuff that I just, things that I brought home, things that I was using. I was making ads at home and stuff like that. So I got some stuff made, some stuff never made.
Another comic I got this week. Really good. Another one from Mad Cave that I like. It's called Is Ted Okay? And it's by David Chisholm. There's his name. And I think that's a 5th color red, because that looks much brighter than a CMYK red when I look at it here. But I like the cover.
Or it could just be the red and blue are just playing off each other.
It could be. I can't decide.
Yeah.
It looks even brighter in person than on screen. David Chisholm, story, art, and letters. And it's hard to describe. Paranoia protection. It's hard to describe this, but this is Ted. And he is doing some job. I think this is like a future. He's doing some job where he has his headphones on and he's making posters for some company. But also, it's from the point of view of this, I can't remember if it's a man or a woman. I think it's a dude who is watching Ted, because it's her job to make sure people at the company don't get suicidal or homicidal. It's like, what? So then the whole thing is her getting weirdly paranoid, watching Ted, her reporting saying, I think he's getting suicidal, but her boss is not caring. Ted's going out and watching airplanes fly. It's just really, really weird. And he promises it's going to get weirder. Then let's see. We got something here where there's all of a sudden there's some sort of car crash and aliens show up. And her bosses, she reports it all to her bosses, and her bosses are like, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Even though she sees Ted on fire. They're like, Ted's fine. He's back at work. So it's just really, really weird. And then it ends. It's got me intrigued for more, though. It's that kind of weird. I can't really tell you what the story was, except is Ted okay? We don't know. Neither does the person watching him. Oh, there's the cover to number 2 with Ted in the glasses, looking not okay.
Like Ted might have found her.
But I don't think I've heard of David Chisholm before. But he's definitely somebody who I enjoyed this a whole lot. So, and this was a $6 comic, so that must be a 5th color ink. Otherwise, it would be a $5 comic. Because usually I think Mad Cave ones are $5 comics. So I imagine that has to be a 5th color. That's why it's a $6 comic. Because it cost them $0.25 extra to do. So they got to charge you $1 extra. But really nice. Good stuff. Mad Cave, Ignition Press, they're both putting out a lot of more good books than I can afford.
Ooh, speaking of Mad Cave, here's a news off the internet. Leah Brown is now announced she joined the editorial team
of Mad Cave
Studios. This weekend we'll be working on their wonderful paper cuts imprint. I may have a new boss.
Hey, you've worked with Leah before. That's good.
That's true.
She's in Chicago now, I think, or somewhere near there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she and her because where was she? She was Leah Pelosi at Marvel. That's where we know her from.
Right.
She got married, I don't know, 20 years ago. And I think her husband is some kind of tech support thing. I don't know. He's some kind of tech guy. And so she's kind of followed around wherever his job was. And I think they were in Tennessee for a while. And then they moved back to Manhattan. So they're in Manhattan, and she was working in book publishing. Then I think she got let go from book publishing. So she was working in publishing at a puzzle company in Jersey. But I think she was commuting from like Manhattan to somewhere in New Jersey. That's never fun. If you live in Manhattan, you do not want to commute out of Manhattan.
Right. Exactly.
And then I think they moved. I talk to her on Facebook all the time. She's in our Marvel Fantasy Football League now too. She's one of the newer members since someone dropped out. I think this was her 2nd year in our Marvel Fantasy Football League, which has been going on since 1992.
Right.
Hey, the Van Wyck. So then I think her husband is from somewhere near Chicago. So I think she's in the like suburbs of Chicago now, maybe. So she must be telecommuting too. Because I don't think there's any Mad Cave Central office. Or if there is, I don't think Mike Marks is in it, because he's in Jersey.
Mad Cave proper, if they had an office, would be Florida.
Right. I think I remember him. But I know Mike Marks is in Jersey.
And Paper Cuts was in Manhattan. They had an office there. I don't think they do anymore. And everybody pretty much works, I believe, from home. And then me as a freelancer, I always worked from home anyway. So I don't think there's offices to visit anymore.
Sleepy wants to know, is Paper Cuts a major client?
It is one of my major clients. I've been busy with them for over 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had a lot of books, and then I'm kind of down to 2, which unfortunately, those may not be lasting too long, but hopefully they'll keep me for something else. They got plenty of other projects.
That's cool. And
Yep.
Sleepy says, I will assume Ted is not okay. The extra $1 kept me from picking it up. It's worth the extra $1, I would say. I think you'll enjoy it, because I did. I think you'll enjoy this kind of thing. And the extra $1 went to the extra bright ink on the cover.
It is a very nice cover on its own.
It's a fun psychedelic cover.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to bring that in and show it to my pre-press class, too, because I was just, even though my pre-press class on Wednesday, 7 out of 10 of them were missing. 4 were snowed in. No, 2 were snowed in, 4 were sick, and 1 I didn't hear from. I was teaching the remaining 3 how to do fifth color stuff in Photoshop.
Right.
How to do a fifth color and varnish and stuff like that. So I can bring that in and show it to them.
There you go.
I'm laughing at Take the Van Wyck.
Take the Van Wyck.
To Central Jersey. Nobody's beaten the Van Wyck, but I can tell you, I've come as close as anybody. That was Elaine from Seinfeld, I remember. They say no one's ever beaten the Van
Wyck.
But definitely, let's see, that's going on my, you know what's not going on my pull list? I got Bait and Switched.
Really?
I bought, this is a Mark Spears cover. And I was just like, oh, Maid Cafe. And
I saw that on the rack, and I was considering
I swear the only reason I bought it is because I was suckered in by the trading card. When final order cut off, they're like, oh, it comes with a trading card. I was like, ooh, cool. So I got it. You know, Mark, I've never bought any Mark Spears stuff before. But then someone on my weekly pull-off was, my weekly pull list was like, you know, that's not a Mark Spears inside. I was like, what? He's like, they're like, it's a manga inside. And sure enough, the inside is not Mark Spears. It's this weird story of I think, and it's by, who's it by? Amy DeLong and Kazu Wannabe. Adapted and illustrated by Remy Isao Mokhtar. So I don't know what it's adapted from. Maybe it's adapted from one of those Japanese like young people books. I know, not regular books.
In Japan, one of the things that they do encourage is if you are a fan of a manga, of a particular title, you can make and print and sell your own fan manga comic at conventions in Japan. There's a number you're allowed to print. I don't recall what it's called, but it's one of those things where you could actually have a table at a con and do a fan-made manga of something that's popular. I don't know what permissions that you need to do to get that, but that is a possibility. That book could very well have been done in that same vein.
Yeah. But this one was also $6 and not worth the $6 unless you really like trading cards.
Well, you must really like that artist.
Card. But I think, and this was only like one sliver of the story. It's about Maid Cafe is one of those places in Japan where young women dress up as maids and businessmen come in and buy their time. And you're supposed to pay attention to the guy and be nice to him. And I think from what I can tell, she at some point, not in this issue, is going to become a pop star for taking a chainsaw and cutting up people. I don't know. Because this whole thing was about her miserable life in this maid cafe. The first issue was, but it started with everybody going, "Oh, look, it's her, and like that's a picture of her walking through blood with a chainsaw. So it's like, is that how she becomes? I think that's how she becomes famous. Is she becomes the chainsaw maid?
Okay.
But no need to put this one on my pull list.
There
Even
is
if it comes with more. I really thought it was a Mark Spears book.
Yeah.
He puts out so much stuff, and it's from Keenspot, which is his publisher. But it was not. It was a big salad. Don't just give me a salad in a big bowl. It's got to be a big salad. Oh, here's an earlier one. Jules Pfeiffer's The Great Comic Book Heroes is a good introduction to superheroes, all the archetypes. It's a little out of date. I don't know if you're current. That's for historians like us. I don't think I've ever read that. That's one of the ones I've always wanted to read, but never have. Have you read that one, Paolo?
No.
The Great Comic Book Heroes by Jules Pfeiffer?
No. Hey, that's probably quite expensive to get, isn't it?
If it's out of print, yeah. I've never actually seen a copy. It came out in the 60s, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think I know where to get a pirated copy.
Yeah, there must be pirated copies out there. I've never looked for one, though. But in case you don't know, the Great Comic Book Heroes by Jules Pfeiffer. And Jules Pfeiffer at the time was already a famous cartoonist, I think. He'd already started his career and people knew who he was. Because he was like, I forget what paper he was in, but he did all those like Broadway caricatures and stuff. So I think he was already pretty well known. And then he put out a book called The Great Comic Book Heroes, which was all about Golden Age superheroes. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like the beginning of, I forget what, it came out maybe in the early 60s?
It says 1965 here.
1965.
So it was like
mostly reprint books from the late 30s to early 40s.
Pfeiffer was big in the Village Voice. Yeah. And it also says, I think Pfeiffer book may have been the first hardback reprint of superhero comics. Yeah, it was like the first sort of mainstream comic book fan history thing. Like that was before that, there was nobody looking back. Well, 65, the golden age wasn't that far away. So it was about looking back at the golden age of superheroes, which had passed. And it was the first like sort of historical book about that where you could go and read those stories from your youth.
The essays from Pfeiffer's book are available for free on the Comics Journal website.
Okay.
I thought I might have had it, but it was a Superman book.
Superman in the 30s through 50s, that one?
I have that one, but right next to it, I had like I have the Super Dictionary.
Oh, okay.
And then I have another one that's about the world of Superman.
But like in the late 70s, early 80s, whenever I was reading about comics, they would mention the Jules Pfeiffer book. But I never saw a copy.
Yeah, I saw that copy so many times I thought I might have had it, the cover. And then when I was looking at the spine, I saw this, which you can't really see. So I thought this might have been it. It was a Superman book, but not that particular Superman book.
Ah, the great Superman book.
So this is more a book.
Yeah.
About Superman.
The like two big reprint books that were always in libraries when I was a kid and I had a copy of them, it was, Superman from the 30s to the 70s. That one was in, so you could get that one. And the Smithsonian Book of Comic Books. That's where I first read The Spirit and all sorts of other stuff. But those two were like in every library. in the 70s and into the 80s. There were the two comic books you could count on. Nothing else.
Yeah, this is what I read in the 7th grade because it was in my library, in my school library.
Yes,
It was kind of
that's
like
the one.
before I was even collecting comics.
Right.
So I wasn't even like, I just thought a book like this was just how they had Superman books.
Right.
So you have the Superman one. This is the Batman and Robin one.
Libraries often didn't have that one, but I knew it existed.
And then this one I found at a comic book convention for like $25. And it wasn't until after I brought it home, found out that it was signed by
Carmen Infantino.
By Shelley.
Sheldon Moldoff. Look at that.
Yep. The
Which
Carmen,
book
I
is that?
think it was. I think the Carmen was.
Is that the Batman one?
It was, yes, the Batman one. Carmen's signature. I don't think that's an original signature. I think that was part of the book itself because it is his dedication. But I have to double check. But Shelley, you could see that it's signature because of the way the ink is on the paper. But the Carmen one, it's hard to tell. Actually, it might be an original.
Got to look at it with a loop.
Yeah, I definitely need to do that. So the Superman from the 30s to the 70s also had a reprint, a little smaller book that included 80 stories. The other book in this series is Shazam, which I do have on the shelf. And the one I never found was the Wonder Woman one.
Mm-hmm.
Never came across that one. So I don't even know if the Wonder Woman is real because I don't think I even found the cover. Now, these I was searching for, 20 years ago.
Right.
I haven't done like recent searches. And I don't pull out the Shazam one because the spine, whatever that glue is made of, completely disintegrated. So if I pick it up, everything just starts to fall apart from it. Or the glue itself starts to fall apart from it.
Sleepy found that Pfeiffer book in a used bookstore a few years ago. I read it in the library as a kid. Yeah, I never saw that one in the libraries. Oh, the library also had the Steranko History of Comics, volumes 1 and 2. That's where I first read them. Loved them when I was a kid.
I never got to read those. I heard so many good things about those, but I never got to read the Steranko ones.
In the early 90s, that's when I got my copies. Like I said, I read them from the library as a kid. There must have been a warehouse find of them. Because like one of the small local comic shops at the time had them in. No, they didn't even order them. They're like, where did these come from? And I'm like, ooh, how much are they? And he's like, I have no idea. They weren't on his order sheet. So he just gave them to me for cover price, which was the 1970s price of like $3.95 and $4.95. I'm like, sure, give them to me.
Steranko's is probably the first book about the history of comics to be widely distributed in pirated scans. And one of the somebody did something to the scans because they got scans of the covers which are used inside as illustrations, and they put color versions in it. So in that regard, the illegal scan is better than the original.
And that, like I said, and that one goes deep into it. That's a real history book there. That one, that was really
Although there are a few current historians who have picked up on errors inside it. Also things that have been revised since then because those things was written ages ago.
It was more ambitious than most.
Yeah, it is. But since some of the mistakes have been picked up on. They noticed that there are a lot of people still get their information from the Steranko book.
Yep.
And are propagating those mistakes.
Another first issue I got this week, which I didn't pre-order because I was like, but I saw it on the shelf and said, all right, I'll get it. There's a Vertigo book. Just because I'm prejudiced against Vertigo books. Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. The Peril of the Brutal Dark, an Ezra Kane mystery. So it's a hard-boiled detective story. He gives our intro. Some very nice Jacob Phillips artwork. Sean Phillips' son. And it's pretty straightforward noir mystery, very well done, well written, well drawn. Takes place in, I think, just after the war. Did it say 46? Oh, 41, the beginning of the war. New York, November 1941. There's someone getting cut down by a Tommy gun. And gotta say, I liked it. I'll at least put this. I don't know how many issues it's got. And there's even some fake newspaper articles at the end. That's always fun. From the time.
I like that they also aged the paper.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm ordering at least the second issue. Michael, I figured out how many issues it's going, but it could be indefinite since I guess Ezra Kane is our. Wonder who owns it. Let's see how is Vertigo doing ownership. I don't know if Ezra Kane's appeared before or not. Where is the Indicia? The search for the Indicia. Dun dun dun. Do they put it on its own page? It's not all the way in the back. Let's see. Published monthly. Copyright. Oh, it's copyright Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. Look at that. All characters featured in this issue, distinctive likenesses thereof, and related elements are trademarks of Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. All right, so it's creator-owned Vertigo. Look at that.
Oh, okay.
I'll definitely get some more issues. And then the other thing I got, the last thing I got this week is the second issue of Spirit of the Shadows. I really liked the first issue, liked the second issue. This is the one where that guy died and he went went to the afterlife, and he had this book, and he had to read the book to figure out very Ditko-esque art with a little Kirby in it too.
Yeah.
There's a great. And this woman is trying to bring him back to life so she can kill him because he killed her sister. He doesn't remember that because he lost all memory of his life in the afterlife. Hence, he needs the book to make his case. There's that nice double-page spread. Fun stuff. Not quite a double-page spread, but reads across. There's another one that reads across. And it's hard to describe the plot. Except guy dying, being brought back to life so he can be killed again. All terrific costumes and witchcraft and strange afterlife stuff. I think I just pre-ordered Dead Teenagers last week, but not this cover. It was one where I couldn't decide between the covers. I didn't like any of them. But yeah, another good week. Let's see. Spirit of the Shadows was good. Only one clunker this week, and that was Maid Cafe. Other than that, it was a good week for comics. Did you read anything this week, Paolo?
I think I'm gonna. I've taken Superman, Batman, World's Finest, the one with with weird art.
Steve Rude?
No, not World's Finest. Where's that thing? Yeah, what's World's Finest? It's the one with weird art. Not pretty.
Huh. Is it new or old?
Oh, it's old. It's this one.
Okay.
Yeah, what the hell? I always forget the guy's name because it's not very important. Dave Taylor.
Dave Taylor. Oh, I think I remember that one. I may have had it at one time. I may still have it. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't look pretty.
Ah.
And it's not very dynamic, but it's competent. The thing is, it's not what you expect. But I've already read part 1, so this was originally a 10-part miniseries.
Wow, 10 parts.
Yeah, because
That at least makes more sense than 9.
No, but remember at the time when when it kind of got decided by consensus that either both the Marvel and the DC universe had existed for 10 years as part of the compressed timelines. And when this came out, this was this started in the past from the first meeting of Superman and Batman, and they would always get together on the anniversary of letting a kidnapped victim get killed.
Yeah, I think I remember something. Could have been that story of them meeting once a year thing. I remember that.
Yeah, this one. And a funny thing is, there are two there are 2 parts. And one deals with the period where Bruce Wayne was replaced by Azrael, and Superman. You're not super.
Yeah.
You're not Batman. But the other
Captain Finley finally locked down his page count. A trilogy in 4 parts, each 40 pages. All right. A trilogy in 4 parts. What year did that? So that's the late 90s? Since
around 2001. Yeah, 1999.
Oh, the latest of the 90s.
Yeah, Carl Kiesel is the writer.
Okay. I remember him being okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read a ton of his stuff, but
yeah, people like Superboy generally.
Superboy?
Yeah, he did Super.
Okay.
He was the main Superboy writer.
Yeah.
I don't even remember there being a Superboy comic.
This was during the it was this
after
Superboy.
Okay. The leather jacketed Superboy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
King Shark was almost always an issue.
How many issues did it run?
Quite a few. The thing lasted for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few years, but I don't recall the final count.
75.
Was he the one who was from our Earth? Earth Prime?
No, that's
he was a clone of Lex Luthor and Superman.
Yeah, remember he appeared after the death of Superman. He was one of the 4.
Which one was the clone?
It was Superboy.
Superboy is the clone. Who was the one who was from our Earth?
So that's Superboy Prime.
That's Superboy Prime.
He was the Superboy that disappeared during Crisis.
Okay.
That went into a pocket universe with Superman Prime and Lois. At the end of Crisis, they made a little place for them to go, and then apparently drove them mad.
Yeah, then he came back. They did another Crisis event, and he started killing everybody. He went nuts.
And he comes back every now and then as a villain.
How big do you think a pocket universe is? I mean, let's just say someone said, "Hey, we're going to trap you in a pocket universe." Would you be like, "All right, it's a universe"?
Yeah,
it depends on.
I mean, is it like a closet I'm in? I'm like, geez, I thought they said this was a universe. This is a closet.
Yeah, is it the size of a galaxy? The size of a solar system?
I don't know if it's an empty universe. There's been times it was drawn as just a white background and nothing there. In the more recent issues that I picked up but haven't read, just skimmed through it, he looks like he's in a bedroom and he's reading comics in it, and he can access all the Superman, all the Superman universes through the comics, so he kind of knows the world exists in a comic book. and he looks like he's like in a room in a house. So that's completely different. Did he conjure up that universe by sitting there all that time? Don't know.
And like
So
when the Image guys came back
right,
in
the
the mid
Heroes
'90s to do
Heroes
Marvel
Reborn.
stuff, and everybody said afterwards it was in a pocket universe. I was like,
It was
"What is
in a
that? Was just Earth in that pocket universe? Was there
so
like
the
no
Pocket
scroll?"
Universe was a whole universe that exists inside Franklin's dodgeball, little red ball, and within
Yeah.
there consisted a whole universe.
How's that different from any other universe? As Captain Finity said, since question, how is a pocket universe different from your standard palette? Sincere question.
I
That's what we're trying to
always,
figure out. I don't know,
We
because
don't
I
pocket makes you think it's smaller
yes,
in part of some other universe, like a
no,
right.
I,
pocket.
It's
I
it's
I
with
tend to think of pocket universes as gopher holes
Right.
connected to a big universe.
I tend to think a pocket universe is a universe that exists in a current universe. So the Heroes Reborn guys were in the space of a universe within the Marvel universe. And you
How can you
can't
put a universe in a universe?
I usually
bigger
see
on the
them.
inside.
Yeah,
Bigger on the inside.
no, I usually see them. I usually see them as smaller. They are connected to a big universe, but they are smaller. That's why I compare them to a gopher hole. Any time that somebody has access to a pocket universe, they usually use it as a storage unit.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then you have universes like when the Hulk shrank and went to that other
The microverse.
dimension, the microverse. So they said the way to get there is by shrinking, but it's really passing
Ah.
into the other universe that way. So it's not like it's tiny. It's just that by becoming tiny, you pass into another universe.
See, when I was originally reading it, it was tiny.
It was tiny? Okay.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
but, people have added on to it since the
because
70s.
Right. So there's
in the
always a
Micronauts,
little change. Yeah.
Yeah,
in the Micronauts, solar systems looked like molecules,
right.
and you could actually traverse through the molecular bonds from one planet to the other, which were atoms.
Right.
What it was is
As one would.
when the original ones who just, were said, "Oh, it's just smaller," made people go, "Well, what do you breathe?" Well, no, 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 no. What do you mean small? No, no, no. Where does gravity come from? No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, no, no. So they just went, you just get smaller and you go to another universe.
yeah. There's a feeling issue
Yeah.
in Morrison's JLA where the atom has to shrink the JLA in order to take them to the brain of a boy who's dying of a brain tumor. But turns out the brain tumor is a microscopic civilization living there, and they become smaller. And then either the Flash or a Green Lantern asks, "Hey, if we were smaller than photons, how can we see?" Uh, try not to think about it too much. By the way, you're not. By the way, you're not breathing oxygen either.
Because the more you make it real, the less fantastic and believable it becomes.
A microverse? Oh, come on. Now we're just getting silly.
Yes.
That still one of my all-time favorite taglines is "They came from inner space." I don't know. That just tickles my tagline fancy.
It's the Micronauts in the
Yep.
beginning.
Yep.
They came from inner space. Ooh, cool.
Yep. Based on a toy line where the characters were aliens the size of your toys. So they weren't tiny. They were their correct size and they hid within our toys
Ah,
to walk around our universe.
that sounds like something that's going to scare you at night. You're going to have to hide under your covers from.
No, but they pretend to be your figures.
In the Micronauts omnibuses.
Mine is built on the graveyard. Don't
They-
build
they
anything on
reprint-
graveyards.
in the Micronauts omnibuses, they reprint the letters pages. And somebody complained that Bill Mantlo wasn't following the correct toy specifications. Mantlo didn't, because there was a storyline in the Mego came up with a storyline for the Micronauts, and Mantlo never he didn't know, or if he did, he didn't care. He came up with all the things he wanted, because apparently somebody complained, "Oh, but Karsley is the king of the acquirers." Okay.
Yeah.
In Mantlo said so.
Is that not? It's not that kind of a comic, kid.
Captain Finity, the hill I will die on, a parallel universe is different from a branching multiple timeline.
Yes.
The question is how are, because if we look at a branching universe, we know how they're created. Something happens here and two branches break off. If the universes are always parallel, how does one start? I don't know. How do you start a parallel universe that's not a branching universe?
Here's the thing. Archon comes from a parallel universe, because that thing is not Earth. but his planet is on the same place as Earth, but it doesn't have a sun. So why is it in the same place in the universe if the solar system is not identical?
And everything's moving.
Yeah.
Our place in the universe is different than it was a second ago.
But Archon's world is a parallel universe because it doesn't come from Earth. There.
Right.
Archon the Magnificent. Where did he first? Because I first read him in the X-Men. I think it was that. Annual, but I think he appeared like in Thor or something.
Avengers.
I
Yeah,
only know him from X-Men.
He came to Earth because he needed energy. The rings that power the planet were breaking down. Usually happens. Anytime Archon shows up, it's because the energy rings are breaking down and he needs energy. But Archon came to Earth and he saw the Scarlet Witch. I want to bone her, so he wanted to bring her with him to become his queen. Eventually, in one of his trips to Earth, he found Thundra, and she went with him willingly, because he was the kind of man that she was looking for.
Let's see. Captain Finity says, excellent question. Thanks to you guys, a parallel universe in my comics is created by a sarcastic comment being inferred sincerely.
Yes. In fact,
whenever I see someone use infer or imply, I have to take a moment. Okay, that was right. As people mess those ones up all the time.
So it will be called the parallel universe of chaos.
Chaos. Well, we should let Paolo get to sleep now and show you some balloons. Woo!
IndyCar starts this weekend.
Oh, right. We're going to be on Paolo's channel next week.
Yes.
Will see. It can't see my other finger because I've got that black thing on it. Look, let's see if I can get my confetti. When I put this black thing on my finger,
You're hidden from the internet.
There we go.
Oh, there it goes.
I got it that time. All right.
It
was fun as always. Wilson's going to find a spot to put the stuff he wants to show.
Yes.
And Jared, you have to read The Golden Age this week.
I will read The Golden Age this week for sure.
And then we will discuss why The Golden Age is the best Elseworld of all time.
And I'm going to search for the great comic book heroes, because I think I own that book. Every time I look at this cover, and also I could get it on Macari for $16.
Captain finishes. I learned the difference between infer and imply thanks to an issue of American Flag and an issue of Cerebus. There you go. Golden Age has the best ending ever. Hey, don't build it up too much, man. All right. Everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week on Paolo's channel. Ta-ta.
Take care.